Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, let's dive into recap.
This is the story of the Yudo family, or rather, a member of the family. The Yudo family is considered a renowned sword-wielding lineage, blessed with a unique trait. Every member is born with a strong physique and exceptional talent. Supposedly, they have ruled over the world with their 3 laws of virtue: control, conquer, and combat. The protagonist of the story is Shun Yuto, the youngest son in the family. During the selection ceremony, which takes place within the family, each child is expected to choose their future by selecting what they want to become. Shun, choosing the patriarch's sword, expected his future to be filled with wealth and success. However, his dreams were shattered quite early on. It turned out that Shun had 0 talent in swordsmanship. As if that wasn't enough of a torment, people around him constantly reminded him that he was nothing but an embarrassment to his family, especially his brothers. They bullied Shun at every opportunity. For instance, one time when he was trying to practice with his wooden sword, his brothers noticed him and started taunting him. Eventually they began hitting him, and even when that did not satisfy them, they ended up breaking Shun's prized wooden sword. This led Shun to develop a deep hatred for his family. However, he remained determined to work hard despite the bullying. He believed that if he worked hard, he would eventually be recognized by his family and finally be accepted as a part of it. But things took an unfortunate turn for him when, at the age of 25, he was banished from his family. They only spared his life because of the efforts he had made. After wandering aimlessly for quite some time, he met someone he addressed as Master. Thanks to his master, Shun came to realize that he wasn't as useless as everyone claimed him to be. He discovered that he was indeed talented, but in something his family considered taboo: magic. Now, 3 years later, while researching how to strengthen mana, Shun is visited by Isamu, the Master of Shadows. Isamu has a special reason for seeking Shun out. He offers him a contract. If Shun agrees, he will gain the ability to use shadow magic as part of his power and will be able to negate all curses. After conducting an inspection, Isamu informs Shun that someone has been working against him since his childhood. As a result, they placed a curse on him, preventing him from using his abilities to their full potential. The curse, called Bladed Illusion, is typically used to suppress one's swordsmanship talent. Isamu realizes that this is precisely why he was drawn to Shun and proceeds to break the curse, assuring him that no one will be able to harm him anymore. After Isamu leaves, Shun picks up a sword to test if anything has changed. To his amazement, he realizes that the Master of Shadows was right. With just a little effort, he can now achieve great things with ease. And if he incorporates magic, he will reach new heights in no time. However, the scene soon shifts to Shun lying barely conscious beneath a massive rock. His body feels heavy and he can barely open his eyes. Realizing that he is dying, he laments the fact that he finally had the chance to wield magic and the power of shadows, only to face death so soon. His vision darkens. But suddenly his surroundings brighten, and he finds himself in the past, surrounded by his family members. He has traveled back in time to the day of the ceremony, when he originally chose the patriarch's sword. In his previous life he had selected the sword by chance, but this time he is determined to do it by choice. Everyone is shocked to see Shun pick the patriarch's sword, Barasada. Now, 6 years later, Shun is in Storm Castle, where he is required to stay until he turns 10. Bored, he reaches for a book, realizing he still has 3 more years to spend in the castle. Suddenly he hears his maid shriek in fear. Upon investigating, they discover a dead bird inside Shun's room. Looking down at it, Shun immediately knows who is responsible. The only other people in the castle are his older brothers, Daytona Yuto, the 11th of the 13 siblings, aged 9, and Heitona Yuto, the 12th of the 13 siblings, also aged 9. As the 2 brothers enter, they admit to placing the bird in his room and repeatedly ask Shun if he liked their gift. Shun, already aware of the future, remembers them becoming notorious killers once they became flag bearers. However, he finds it even more shocking that these 9-year-olds killed an innocent bird just to torment a 6-year-old. When Shun ignores their remarks, they grow irritated. Heitona steps forward to punch him, but before he can even lay a finger on Shun, Shun catches his fist and punches him instead. Annoyed by his bratty brothers, Shun beats them until they fall unconscious. Just then Khan, their guardian soldier, enters and demands to know what happened. He is surprised to see two of his young masters on the ground, and grows confused when Shun lies, claiming that the two brats had been fighting and suddenly collapsed on their own. Khan picks them up and announces that he will take them to the doctors, but Shun stops him and tells him to follow him instead. Obeying his master, Khan follows Shun to a tree. As rain pours down, Shun leaves the two unconscious boys under the tree. Khan, concerned, asks if Shun really plans to abandon them there, knowing the rain will only get stronger. But Shun insists that they must learn a lesson. This raises Khan's suspicions. He senses that Shun's response carried more than just aura, it must have been mana. If that is the case, he realizes he must inform Shun's father, as this would no longer be considered a simple fight between brothers. Khan then calls over one of the men nearby and asks for his horse. As Shun watches Khan heading away, he already knows that Khan is making his way toward his father. Shun could understand why Khan would mistake shadow energy for mana. However, he also knew that shadow energy was the only thing that allowed him to remember his past and his contract with Isamu. He knew that because of the help the shadow energy had provided, he would be able to change his life, and he would no longer be the dunce of Yuto. In the next scene, Khan has already reached Shun's father and reported everything he saw. So, Shun's father announces for Khan to assemble the flag bearers. After all 7 flag bearers and 200 knights have been assembled, they all make their way towards Storm Castle. While on their way to the castle, Mary Yuto, the 7th flag bearer, and Dyphus Yuto, the 4th flag bearer, discuss their father's intention behind visiting his youngest sons. They couldn't decide whether he was coming for the twins or for Shun. As they are interrupted by Luna, another flag bearer, they wonder if Shun is really that useful since their patriarch is going out of his way to meet his youngest. Meanwhile, inside the castle, the maid is readying Shun for the patriarch's arrival. She is excited for the patriarch to see his sons, but Shun knows better. He knows that Khan would have told his father everything, and that is why he is coming. Even though Khan wouldn't have been able to tell everything to his father, since he couldn't conclude whether Shun was using mana or not, he would have surely reported everything he saw. Shun also knows another reason his father could be visiting. First, to check whether Shun really is using some special power, and second, to determine if that power is an asset for the future and prosperity of the clan. Soon the patriarch arrives. At his entrance, everybody bows and greets him. As he settles, he calls for the twins. As they greet him on their knees, Shun's father asks them about the altercation they had with Shun. Seeing their chance, they start to badmouth Shun, proclaiming that whatever happened wasn't their fault but Shun's. They make sure to mention the unknown power he used, not aura, but something more closely resembling magic. They suggest that their father interrogate Shun about using magic, since it is a forbidden act. This prompts their father to call them out, commenting that they won't be able to survive in the Yuto family if they maintain their current behavior. Before they can defend themselves, the patriarch asks for his youngest son. As Shun enters, he observes his father, Chiron Yuto, the great patriarch, the strongest ever, the demigod. Shun has always known his father to be cold and stronger than anyone he has ever met. He remembers a time when his father was no different from an ordinary person. However, as he gained the status of a demigod, he lost all of his empathy. He became nothing more than an empty man with an obsession to maintain and increase his family's power and prosperity. Shun clearly remembers the time when he was talentless and invisible in his father's eyes. However, this time he has promised himself that things will be different. With the strength and stubbornness of his old self, he walks up to his father, kneels down in respect, and greets the patriarch. This makes his father question why he addressed him as patriarch and not father, to which Shun responds that it must be an official matter if so many people have come with him. Finding this interesting, Chiron asks Shun the same question he asked the twins about his involvement in the fight. Shun simply confesses that it was an act of revenge. As a member of the Yuto family, he believes that one must always receive what they give to others, whether good or bad. Chiron purses his lips for a moment, and then orders everyone except Shun to leave the room. Once everyone leaves, Chiron finally asks the question he has been waiting for, about the special power Shun possesses. He reminds Shun of the rule in the family against magic, explaining that if one uses magic, they cannot achieve the pinnacle of swordsmanship. Shun informs his father that he doesn't know what his power is since it is neither aura nor magic, and he often wonders what to call it. Seeking his father's permission, he decides to name the power after the one that Yudo's founder possessed. Seeing his son use shadow energy, specifically Barasata's shadow energy, Chiron wonders if Shun is truly destined to be the next head of the family. Chiron then tells Shun about the history of Isamu, who made a contract with the founder of the Yudo family, Lord Timar. After Timar's death, Isamu vanished and has not been in contact since. Chiron believes that Isamu is trying to re-enter the family through Shun. Curious, Shun asks if Isamu is stronger than the demigod himself, to which Chiron has no answer since he has never fought a god before. However, Chiron finds himself impressed by Shun's question, and asks how he would want to use such power. Shun replies that he would use it for the sake of his family. But this is when Shun's plan backfires. His answer makes Chiron realize that he is lying. Chiron accuses him of being a liar since he knocked down his brothers and abandoned them in the storm. In a serious tone, he again demands to know Shun's true intentions with his power. Finally realizing that his father won't let it go, Shun truthfully answers that he wants to use it for himself. With a warning that he will be keeping an eye on him, Chiron leaves. As soon as he does, Shun releases a breath he didn't even realize he was holding. He is over the moon to know that his father might have expectations for him. He truly is going to be different from his previous life. In the next scene, Mary comes up to Shun and hands him a huge box as a gift. When he looks inside, he is surprised to find a phoenix's heart. Now he understands why Mary is called Wind Fury Mary, but more specifically, the Madwoman of the South. Now, Shun sits at the table, waiting for the phoenix's heart soup to be prepared. He lists all the benefits of eating the heart, such as gaining resistance to fire and its function as an elixir that promotes growth. A phoenix's heart is required for a 6-star mage to summon a phoenix safely. He truly desires to be able to summon a phoenix with his own hands. Just then, the maid comes in, announcing that the soup is ready for him. But before he can even take a sip, he notices his older twin brothers lusting over the soup. They request him to let them have some as well, but before agreeing, Shun asks them for a favor. In the next scene, the brothers are seen digging inside a cave because of the favor Shun asked them for. Even though they are embarrassed to be doing such manual labor, they confess that a part of them is still quite afraid of Shun. After their hard work, they go back inside, where Shun has saved some soup for them as he promised. Excited to taste it, they rush inside, only to find just 2 teaspoons of soup left on a tray. Even though they are agitated, they thank him for the single teaspoon of soup they received. Meanwhile, Shun makes his way into the cave where the twins had been digging. He is quite impressed by their work, and when he comes face to face with a wall, he knocks on it trying to estimate its thickness. After confirming it, Shun uses his magic far too powerfully and excitedly, as he had no other place to release his mana. He destroys the wall easily, revealing a door, or more specifically the entrance to Yudo's secret family library. He remembers hearing about the library for a long time, but he was never able to enter it since he wasn't a flag bearer. He recalls his brother mentioning that a trigger word is needed to open the doors. So, speaking the trigger word, Yudo's child is here to console Noboru. He watches in awe as the door to the library opens, a place that holds all the secret tomes of the family. As he steps inside, he is shocked to find someone inside a containment tube. Upon closer inspection, he notices that the person has scales on his body, making him realize that this being is not human. After searching his memory, he discovers the truth. It is the black dragon Noboru, who was defeated by the founder and then went into a deep slumber. Shun has heard the legend of the mighty Noboru, but he cannot believe that the stories are true. However, he doesn't want to waste any more time, so he ignores Noboru and moves around the library to find the books he wants. He finds one about the Kungan family, a lineage famous for their swordsmanship. The theory in the book is a bit difficult, as it is a 3-star magic technique. Even though he wants to take the book with him, he knows better, so he resorts to copying the theory and reading it inside the castle. A few days pass, and Shun visits the library daily to copy the theory. But one day while he is in the library, he hears someone enter. He is taken aback, considering that no one from Storm Castle should be able to enter the library. Looking up, he finds Noboru standing before him. Shun is shocked to see Noboru awake, as he has never heard of him awakening in his past life. However, he tries to calm himself, remembering that Noboru is the family guardian and likely won't harm him as long as he remains respectful and behaves like an innocent child. Shun greets Noboru as the family guardian, but this makes Noboru roar in anger. After venting for some time, he sits back on his haunches and sighs. He then admits that he came looking for something because he smelled something good, but all he finds is Shun in front of him. Upon closer inspection, Noboru detects the scent of shadow energy coming from Shun, a scent he will never forget, and one that can only come from those under a contract, just like Timar was. Realizing that Noboru may have awakened due to his contract with the Shadow Master, Shun decides to act innocent and show him the energy. He also mentions Chiron's comment that shadow energy is a power sent by the god of shadows. Hearing this, Noboru falls to his knees, realizing that the contractor promised by the god of shadows after thousands of years is just a child. Accepting his fate, Noboru informs Shun that he made a promise to Soddard a long time ago, and the person who must now fulfill that promise with him is Shun. He assures Shun that he will explain everything later, but first decides to introduce himself. He is Noboru, Isamu's representative and friend, as well as the last descendant of the first being created from the shadows. According to a contract made thousands of years ago, Noboru will always remain by Shun's side. The mighty Noboru has a very interesting past. The stormy mountain was named after him as Noboru Mountain. He was the most powerful ruler for a very long time, but he was defeated in battle by Timar thousands of years ago. As a result, he gave up the mountain and Storm Castle before falling into a deep sleep. But the most surprising part of the story is that Timar and Noboru were never enemies. In fact, they were very good friends, as Noboru was Timar's guardian dragon. It was something granted to all those who had contact with the gods, yet Shun had never been aware of this fact. Things were finally starting to make sense to Shun, but he wondered if he would get a guardian dragon as well. After Noboru's awakening, Shun continued to visit the library, asking him questions he was genuinely curious about while also getting to know him. One day, after months of visiting the library, Shun finally asks the long-awaited question: why Noboru fought Timar. Unfortunately for him, Noboru avoids answering in every way possible. Instead, he questions Shun about why he is transcribing every note. Shun explains that he cannot take the books with him, as it would get him into trouble. When Noboru suggests that he take it easy, Shun replies that he cannot afford to rest. He explains that he has 12 older brothers and sisters, along with parents and elders. If he wants to surpass them all, he must work much harder. He then asks Noboru how much of the book the founder would have been able to interpret. Noboru gives him a very realistic answer. If the founder, Timar, had read the book, he wouldn't have been able to understand a single line. However, that didn't mean he wasn't a great fighter. He explains to Shun that he surely has potential like Timar, but he isn't as good as Timar. Hearing this breaks Shun's heart. He asks Noboru if he will ever be as strong as Timar, but Noboru only gives him hope, saying that if he trains hard, he might be able to become as strong as Timar and maybe one day even surpass him. Trying to uplift his mood, Noboru tells him that Isamu's other name is Infinity, meaning Isamu's power has no limit. This implies that the contractor would also have no limit. Noboru then decides to teach Shun a new trick. The trick is called Shadow Energy Release, which serves as the foundation for utilizing shadow energy. To learn it, Shun must follow a few steps, the first being learning how to form his mana, as Shadow Energy Release involves the formation and movement of mana. Noboru informs him that mastering just the first step would take 2 to 3 years. Since Shun doesn't even know the basics yet, Noboru refuses to teach him anything advanced. However, Shun shocks him by performing the first step with ease, as he used to practice it a lot in his past life. Noboru is truly shocked and impressed by Shun, and decides to give him a sneak peek of how the trick works. He explains that shadow energy is derived from shadows, and since all shadows were born from Isamu, that makes him the owner of all the world's shadows. Additionally, since Shun is the sole contractor, he would also have the potential to become the owner of all the world's shadows. As time passes, within half a year of meeting Noboru, the twins turn 10 and soon leave the castle. Not long after, Shun celebrates his 9th birthday. While cutting the cake, Khan interrupts and announces that Luna has come to visit him. Luna, the firstborn of the Yudo family, also known as the White Whale, had stepped out of the War of Succession to become the next patriarch, despite being the strongest. However, her visit intrigues Shun, as she has never previously attempted to build a relationship with her siblings. In fact, their relationship had been more akin to that of strangers. Trying to guess her reason for visiting, Shun fears that she may have discovered his secret visits to the library. Luna finds Shun's formality endearing but notices that he seems uneasy, so she asks if he is okay. Shun truthfully responds that he is quite nervous since it is the first time he has seen her so closely. This breaks Luna's heart, realizing that her brother feels as though she is there to extort something from him. She regrets not being more considerate of her siblings and apologizes for her past behavior, requesting to speak with him in private. Shun agrees and asks his nanny and the knights to leave. Once they are alone, Luna explains her reason for visiting. She tells Shun that ever since Chiron came to meet him, he has come under the radar of their other siblings. Whenever he leaves the castle, he will now be watched closely. Luna warns him not to get involved in the family's fight for succession. Although Shun is grateful for her concern, he refuses to stay out of it. He explains that it no longer matters, as he has already survived an assassination attempt, one of the reasons he cannot back down. This revelation makes Luna furious, and she demands that Shun tell her who tried to harm him. However, Shun assures her that he doesn't know their identity. Luna comes to the painful realization that Shun has already become entangled in the family battle, which deeply upsets her. To cheer him up, she decides to give him a present. She fastens a beautiful pendant around his neck and explains its abilities. If he ever finds himself in danger, he simply has to break the gem on the pendant, and Luna will come to help him. They spend a memorable day together, and after she leaves, Shun visits Noboru, who questions him about the pendant. Upon learning about it, Noboru informs Shun that the pendant is an artifact of Demon King Orgel, an item people have desperately sought to obtain. If Luna has given it to him as a gift, it means her love for him is infinite. Intrigued, Shun asks for more details and learns that the pendant provides resistance to attack magic of 5 stars and below, and enhances the magical abilities of its wearer. Shun is also shocked to discover that Noboru was able to sense Luna's energy from afar. Noboru admits that Luna might have sensed his energy as well, which worries Shun. What if she informs the family about his secret visits? Noboru reassures him that if Luna was the one who gifted him the pendant, then he doesn't need to worry. He should simply trust her more. Looking back on the time he once thought would be filled with suffering, Shun realizes that it has instead brought him many valuable experiences. His father acknowledging his existence, obtaining the Phoenix Heart, forming a great relationship with his eldest sibling Luna, and meeting the guardian dragon Noboru. As time passes, he turns 10, which means he must start making arrangements to leave Storm Castle and move to his new residence. Meanwhile, Khan has been teaching Shun the basics of combat. After a training session, Khan realizes why Chiron was so interested in Shun. He sees the same authoritative presence in Shun's eyes and feels honored to be his teacher. He reminds Shun that his time in Storm Castle is limited, but promises to provide him with the best training possible. In the next scene, Shun tests whether the Phoenix Heart soup worked by placing his finger over the flame of a lit candle. After confirming that the fire doesn't feel hot to him, he is delighted by this discovery. While the maid helps him pack, he suddenly remembers Noboru. Making an excuse to the maid, he leaves to meet him. Shun asks Noboru if he will follow him to the main castle. The Black Dragon assures him that he will, in such a way that no one will be able to notice him. He explains that as Shun grows in power and strength, so will Noboru. That is why Shun must work hard and become strong like Timar. Shun recalls a time long ago when the Yudo family was renowned as a magic swordsman family. Noboru then explains that the Yudo family's strong opposition to magic stems from a vow established thousands of years ago. Although Noboru remains the family's guardian, he is aware that they will not be pleased to see him. Therefore, they must ensure that no one discovers his presence. Additionally, they need to address the now empty tube captivity. Noboru suggests that he will handle it by creating an illusion of himself using dragon tongue magic. However, he admits that since he has not fully regained his energy, maintaining the illusion may be difficult. As a gesture of appreciation, Shun gives Noboru some strawberry pie, which he loves, and wine, which Shun was able to swipe while the maid was not looking. In the next scene, Shun's nanny is buttoning up his jacket, and the sorrow is quite evident on her face as Shun has to leave for the main castle now. She reminds him to be strong as the Guardian Knights, Jerome and Holtz, come up to Shun to escort him to the Garden of Swords. On the 30th of October 1790, Shun took his first step out of Storm Castle for the second time. As they continue their journey with Shun and his nanny inside the carriage heading to the main castle, the Guardian Knights outside call out that they might need to stop by a nearby village since the snow is falling fast and will soon pile up. Suddenly, the knights shout for Shun to stay put in the carriage as it shakes. There appears to be an ambush, so the nanny pulls Shun closer to her. Shun remains still as he hears that there are 20 enemies outside, including mages, warriors, and archers.